Okay, it's 10:30. It's day 2 of Performa '09. It's November the 2nd. And I've just come from another incredible day. I have to say the excitement and the energy is pretty amazing. I began the day at the Hub, our new headquarters on 3rd Avenue at Cooper Square. And it's an absolute delight to have people coming off the street into the space and being there just to find out about Performa. It's not a cafe, it's not a bookstore, it's a place to hang out, and that is really very, very special. It's an instant place that can unfold and become a theatre, become a screening room, become a seminar area, become an exhibition space. It's really quite a wonder, and it was commissioned. It's our first, by Performa, it's our first Performa commission of an architectural project, and it was designed by N Office, a group of architects working out of Berlin, and something that we proudly built in just 5 days. So that's where the early morning began, but then at 5:30 I went down to Castle Clinton at the lowest end of Manhattan, right near the water, and there to see a wonderful project produced by Ruth Sachs, a South African artist, and presented by the Museum of African Art as it awaits its new headquarters way up in Harlem at the top of the Museum Mile. They chose to take on Castle Clinton. In Ruth Sachs' words, she really wanted to look into the history of New York City and came up with a marvelous project, a story about the opera singer Jennifer Lind, who was performing in New York in the late 1890s, early 1900s. And she actually employed a hypnotist to hypnotize a wonderful opera singer, who then instantly awoke from her, or in her hypnotized trance, sang a very well-known song that Jenny Lind, would have sung all those many years ago. Which brings us actually to a very important point about Performa, which is that it is very much about the city of New York. And to have Ruth Sachs respond to that, to try to unravel an earlier moment in performance history, in popular performance in the history of New York City, was really quite wonderful. And to actually be introduced by the magician, acting very much as impresario, to have him explain the story, also done dramatically and with a lot of verve and energy, was really absolutely fascinating. And to do this in the sort of darkening light of Lower Manhattan was terrific. From there we took our Performa car to the Hub to meet Guy Ben-Nur, who would be there with his former professor from Columbia University, and also well-known artist John Kessler, who would interview Guy about this movie that he made that was a story of him going back and forth between Berlin and Tel Aviv. It's a terrific story. It was a Performa commission that began the story. Guy, who always works with his family, includes his family in his videos, took on this project and originally came to me and said that what he wanted to do was go back and forth between Berlin and Tel Aviv. I was a little suspect. I thought I was being set up. How clever to take a commission and use it to pay for your flights back and forth as you figured out your domestic life, which had suddenly shifted. His family had broken up. He's broken up with his wife. His children were in Tel Aviv, and he had a new girlfriend in Berlin. So here I was being asked to sponsor this back and forth between the two cities to deal with this new part of his life. Anyway, I won't go into the long story. It's a pretty good one, and it shifts and changes. The evening was wonderful, especially to see the Hub used for the first time with so many people sitting on this instant little amphitheater that we had, on little stools that we brought in, and listening to Guy and John discuss the evolution of this particular film, and to have a wonderful group in the audience, including artists like Dennis Oppenheim, who is somebody who actually strongly influenced Guy's work, and Guy had never met before, so that was touching to see him respond to Dennis in the audience, who was introduced to him. From there we took our trusty little Performa car to PS 122 to be told at the entrance that it was sold out, standing room only, and I said good, as we went up the stairs and somehow managed to find some seats in the dark just as the evening was about to begin. And indeed a wonderful work by Alterazioni Video, an Italian group who did a perfect futurist evening for us in the most modern and wonderful way, very contemporary version. Each of them throwing balls and all kinds of strange things at one another. And on screen from Venice was Ragnar Katjason, who's a terrific Icelandic artist with whom they all work as a group. So the evening ended up actually with, well, the beginning was all kinds of wonderful things using balloons and metronomes and ping pong balls and various other everyday objects for creating odd sounds and beeps and throughout this 45-minute performance, and ending with rubber balls being big rubber balls, soccer balls being kicked and thrown around the space. Hard to describe, you'll have to watch the video, but it was very, very funny and the energy was terrific, and 2 days of watching people with smiles on their faces has been very exciting for me as producer of this festival. Good night.